Hello, everybody. It is April 12th, 2017. My name is Connor Capps. I'm sitting here with my partner, Mohammad Rashid. Say hi to everybody, Mohammad.
What's up, guys?
We are here today to talk about a topic that Mohammad and I could both say is a little near and dear to the heart. Would you agree with that, Mohammad?
I think so. A little bit controversial.
A little bit controversial, some might say. So what we want to talk to you guys today is about millennials and how they can improve their saving habits early and what to expect right out of college with certain expenses and things that people just, college doesn't necessarily prepare you for some of these real life events that come around. So, I actually was a Mizzou graduate. I graduated a couple years ago in 2015 in finance. Since then, I have gotten my life insurance license as well as all of my securities license, so the Series 7 and the Series 66. Mohammad, if you want to give a little...
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat, except I'm a St. Louis University graduate, graduated with a finance degree May 2016. I'm a registered investment advisor. I have my Series 7, my Series 66, and my life insurance.
So, essentially, just to give a little pre-frame, Mohammad, of what we're going to talk to people about today, is we just want, the millennial stereotype, and, we can kind of go back and forth and what everything that we've heard about millennials, but we're entitled, right? Yeah. We don't want to work. We're lazy. We're bad with money and saving habits. All these things that people love to remind us over and over again. So Mohammad and I felt that if we could get a podcast out there and start spreading some awareness to our age group, maybe we can mitigate or get rid of some of these stereotypes that we seem to have on a day-to-day basis. So starting with that, Mohammad, just based on, some of the things since you've graduated college, what are some of the expenses or some that you either have incurred, or maybe since you're in this industry, maybe you have been able to avoid and build up your own personal wealth, and some of the things that maybe some other people right out of college may be looking for?
Yeah, well, first right off the bat, obviously the obvious one is college loans. In my mind, I guess most college graduates and most millennials, that is the biggest overhanging debt and expense on most people's plates. I'm lucky enough to where I don't have to worry about a car or a house because my parents take care of that for me. However, those are also some things that I'm sure certain college graduates and millennials also worry about. And then there's things like possibly marriages, possibly vacations, things of those big ticket items.
So, kind of touching on what Mohammad just referred to, obviously, college is something that in today's world we're all essentially expected to do, and the price just keeps getting more and more expensive, and not all of us can get, the scholarships or the grants or anything. So you come out with a very hefty college loan payment that you have to make, and that can really affect somebody's cash flow So you have that 6-month grace period graduating college, and then you are expected to start making these payments, and a lot of people might find that to be stressful or overwhelming would be a good term to use for it. So that's one thing that we want to talk about and cover of things to prepare yourself for, as well as when people get out of college, they want to start looking for housing. Personally, I wasn't originally from St. Louis, but I was able to live with my aunt and uncle when I first moved out here. That was able to save me, what's an average rent right now? Anywhere between $600 and $1,000 a month. Right off the bat, I could just keep stocking that away and preparing myself for the big move out once I did pull the trigger on that. So that's something to think about too. Also, something that I wish I would have maybe known a little earlier or thought about a little more is once I did make the next step to move out, maybe don't go the renting route. You can start building equity in a house. Some people don't think about that as being an investment, but that you are starting to build up money in a place where, it's not necessarily your savings account, or maybe if depending on what job you get out of college, your 401k or something. There are other ways to get your money to start working for you early on without having to already subject yourself to market risk or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And Connor, just to jump back for a second, what would you say is why would you say it's so important to start saving and to start building up your wealth for these millennials that maybe don't really appreciate the value of it?
I think there's a few different reasons. I mean, the one big one is just to develop habits early, right? I mean, we all need to start the saving mindset. It may be difficult for some people to think that way when they get out of college. They may, get a job that's only paying $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 a year, and they may find that to be really difficult to start saving money. But I think if you can even start socking away, dollars at a time even. I know to some people that may sound, seem ridiculous and minuscule in the long term, but I don't think it necessarily matters about the amount of wealth you accumulate young, but the mindset that you accumulate young, if you can actually start thinking in that capacity. I also think it's a way to get involved and interested in investing if you don't know what it is. I've had buddies that have come to me and asked me, how do I get into the market, or what is my 401k consisted of? I just got this job and they want me to contribute to this 401k, but I don't even really know what that means, So I think it's a way that not necessarily just to start accumulating wealth and getting that mindset, but also just to understand what is investing, a lot. That's something that college or high school even, and even if you were a finance major or an accounting major, you still may not really know what all your options are and what you can do with that money. So I think that's a primary couple of reasons right off the bat that we should really get in the habit of teaching these kids as soon as we can to start getting into that saving mindset.
I 100% agree. And I think you hit on two very important. It's important to build the habit, and it's important to be curious and want to educate yourself so you actually want to do the good thing and start saving and start creating wealth for yourself.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the ways we can start saving and maybe start accumulating more wealth and build up a little nest egg for ourselves?
Sure. So there's the obvious ones that we've all heard about, just stocking money in the bank. We all know the banks right now aren't really paying you very much money to be there, but at least, as we keep alluding to, that the mindset's there to start the saving. If your company offers a 401k or some sort of retirement plan, I think that's a great way to start. Find out what their match is, if they're willing to give you 3% for every 3% you give, or what the stipulations are. Any of your HR people or anything should be able to help you with that. And then find out what if you do have a retirement plan option, find out what it's invested in. I mean, that'll hopefully generate, again, more interest for you, and then your other investments outside your plan, we can diversify and look at things more like that. And also, this is just kind of a side note, but for younger people that may be listening to this, it may be important as well. If you do have a retirement plan, find out if there's a Roth option. I'm not saying that you absolutely should do that option, but it may be something you're interested in. You may be in the lowest tax bracket you'll ever be in your life, since it may be your starting job, and you may want to get taxed on your money now rather than, 30, 40, 50 years down the road when you decide to retire. You may be in a higher tax bracket, and that just may be something you want to look into. But anyway, going back to the different ways of saving now, there's plenty of other ways to accumulate wealth other than just savings in 401k. We can open brokerage accounts, start looking into bonds, individual stocks, things like that. That tends to be what I see when I meet with people all around our age.
Yeah.
That definitely makes their ears perk up, and that's what they want to talk about the most. But there's other avenues. There's safe money alternatives. You've heard about CDs at the bank, money market. If you're somebody that does think that we are at all-time highs in the stock market, maybe look for money market accounts or CDs or something down that route. That maybe even alternative assets and things that we can talk about. If anyone's interested in hearing that, Mohammad and I can meet with you and talk about other alternatives that you can just store money. So there are many other options other than just what you see in the Wall Street movies or anything that people should be aware of and start to think about early on.
I 100% agree. And the most common question I get from my friends or family, it's what stock should I invest in? What stock should I pick? Not realizing that they have way more options out there with so many different vehicles that possibly more safe and more appropriate for them. And I wish we had time to cover all these different types of vehicles and assets that you could invest in, but I'm glad that you pointed out, the stock market's not the only choice that you have.
Absolutely. And the one thing that our firm stresses about the market, not to say that we don't do the market, I have money in the market, we have clients in the market, but it's something that is always out of our control. And, being so young and wanting to start investing that, if all you have to your name is a couple $1,000s and you put that at risk in the market and you lose 50%, and a year later or whenever that might be, is that scary to you? And maybe it's not. You have your whole working life to recover, but to some people that may be their lifeblood, and they think I have to be in the market and take risks to make gains, but they don't know about the other options available to them. So again, it's not that we're anti-market, but our mindset is, can we put our money somewhere where we have more control over it in order to accomplish some of the goals that we have later in life?
Exactly. And how about we give some people a concrete example. How about you talk about some of the ways you've gone about saving, maybe paying off your college loans, some of the strategies that you utilize?
Sure. So, that's actually a really good example for how I'm doing it. So I was actually fortunate enough, I didn't expect this, but when I graduated from college, I actually had about almost $20,000 in debt. And my grandmother asked me to send her a copy of the student loan debt report, and she actually gave me the exact dollar amount that I would need to pay off the student loans. Just for her peace of mind, I told her I did it, but what I chose to do was actually take that money and put it into a vehicle that's not in the market and subject to market risk, but where I actually have control over it and it's safe money, and I'm building that pile of money up to utilize to pay off my student loans. Why would I do that when I'm getting charged a monthly rate on my student loans? I'm getting charged $200 a month to pay down my student loans. For one, I know the money, that $20,000, is in my control. I can decide where it's invested and what it's doing for me. So if I can get more of an interest rate than what I'm paying on my student loans, I will take that all day. Two, I get to deduct some of the interest on my student loans that I pay. And when that comes back around to tax season, that's something I can look forward to, is utilizing some of those deductions that people may not even know that they have the ability to do. And three, it's 20,000. I know I kind of said I'm utilizing, but it's something that I know I have as a safety net. God forbid something does happen. If you take all of your money and pay off your student loans at once, or maybe put all your money in cash down on a house or something, that money is gone forever, and you could find yourself in some precarious situations if you don't think about different strategies in order to be prepared for things like that. So I'm not saying that paying it all off at once is a bad thing. I'm saying maybe it's worth looking into other options that you can have your money in your control and working for you.
Right. There's alternatives.
There are alternative strategies.
And so you're saying basically what you went and did was, instead of paying down your $20,000 student loans and losing that $20,000 forever, you decided, I am going to invest this in some sort of vehicle to pay off my student loans through that and still have that wealth that your grandma
Absolutely. Exactly.
I like it.
Yes. That's exactly what I chose to do. And then, and kind of going back to what we were talking about before, same strategy of when I'm going to purchase my first house, I probably will only put down the bare minimum. And if you're a first-time home buyer, for anyone listening out there, you only have to put down between, I believe it's 3% and 6% rather than 20% there and after. So they really try, the government's really trying to help out millennials and younger people looking to buy their first property. So that's another thing. Even if I have cash available to put more money down or however I want to do it, I'll probably just put the bare minimum down and start making payments, because I know the rest of the money that I could have put down, I can have working for me in a different capacity and gaining me wealth in another area. So those are just kind of two big examples, college loans and home purchasing, that right there, people may not have taught any you guys how to do that. Everybody just thinks you've got to pay it off. I've got to pay it off. Well, I'm not saying don't pay it off, but I'm saying, can we be strategic about how we pay it off and think about other strategies?
Right. And you know what? Speaking of other strategies, you kind of actually introduced me to the Acorn investment app, which is something I think a lot of millennials could appreciate. So why don't you explain that?
Yeah, so Mohammed's talking about an app. I actually don't know a lot about that app specifically, but I want to talk a little bit about the idea that the app implies, which is micro investing. So when we first started this podcast a few minutes ago, we talked about the importance of investing, whether it's dollars, even, something very small. So what certain apps or even companies will do for you is what's considered micro investing. So let's say that you go and buy a cup of coffee for $2.50. Well, what they will do for you is automatically round up that payment up to $3 and take that 50 cents and stock it away and start investing it for you. Again, to some people, 50 cents, that may not seem worth it to you or the right mindset, but I am telling you, little things like that, little everyday purchases, you start thinking about all the nickel and diming that you do to yourself on paying at the gas pump, going to this grocery store, different little payments like that. If you can start stocking away just the difference between the next dollar amount and just have it stored away somewhere already, I think you'd be surprised at how fast that will start to accumulate. And again, it all comes back to the saver's mindset. You're already stocking away money for those future expenses that you're going to either need to do or really just want to do. You want to take that vacation. You want to have a great wedding. You want to do all these different things that you see older people that have accumulated wealth enjoy their lives doing. So I think an app, again, I'm not as familiar with the Acorn app, but if you do some research on your own just to find some way of just stocking away even dollars at this point, It would be phenomenal.
And it's great because we live in a time where with these micro investing apps, investing really has never been easier. And for a generation like ours that just wants it fast, wants it convenient, and wants to do it through our phone, there are options out there that allow that.
Absolutely. And again, some people might call this robo-advisors or whatever you want to call it. You don't even necessarily, they'll take your risk level. They'll ask you a couple personal questions about how you want the money invested, and they will help you pick investments too. So it's not even, you don't have to go buy a specific stock or a specific bond or anything. They will actually help you generate a plan and then start, siphoning, pennies on the dollar essentially out of your payment purchases. So that's just another way to think about, again, us being millennials and having this shadow cast over us of what people think and stereotype us as. This is a good way to get out of under that shadow, is just start accumulating your own wealth. Don't be lazy. Start really building something. And I think this is an easy way to start showing people that maybe have their doubts about us that we are understanding that saving is important and that we are prepared for the future. And I think that's great.
I agree. So just to recap, importance of saving.
So the importance of saving, obviously we all know it's important, and I know we seem like we're beating a dead horse here, but I think it's so important. If you can start day one leaving college, don't go out every weekend and just spend your money doing whatever it is that you want to do every time. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. I'm saying just really adopt that mindset early, and I promise you it'll pay off down the road. I think that's so important now to start.
Yes, I agree. And just so everyone, maybe if they have a notepad right now, they can write down sort of different ways into saving and investing that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's the same. Again, I don't even necessarily care even if it's in your savings account. I know that you're not getting money on that, paid a very high interest rate, but just wherever you can start stockpiling cash, where you know that it will be there for future, and then maybe come to Mohammad or I or whoever it is that you trust that is in the industry and start figuring out how to invest that money. But again, what we really wanted to focus on is just the mindset on the importance of saving and how to start saving those dollars for those future expenses. And again, if you have a retirement plan at your job, talk to your HR person, find out a little bit more in depth about that plan. Don't just think, oh, it's a 401k, everybody has one, I just won't worry about it. Find out what it is and what it consists of and how it can help you in the future. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. Really, really be curious and find out your options and try to educate yourself on different avenues. And I think that's it.
All right, guys, this was Mohammad and I's first podcast. I hope it helps some of you guys. Feel free to reach out to us. Our company is E3 Consultants Group. Phone number is 314-822-4440. We look forward to hearing from some of you guys. Thanks. Information provided on this podcast is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. A financial professional must have a complete understanding of someone's financial picture in order to advise and act in their best interest. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither NPC, the host of this show, or any guest accept any liability for the use of this information discussed. E3 Consultants Group and NPC are separate and unrelated entities. Please consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action.